Hello again. So this is just a fairly short video about the subject of entropy. Entropy is a concept which you'll find in physics, which is very pertinent for today. I think the idea that without intervention, things have a tendency to fall into chaos and disrepair and collapse eventually without some intervention to prevent this from happening. This idea comes from physics, and there's an opposite idea to this, which is negentropy, which is that things have a tendency towards order and form and the opposite of chaos. This sometimes does occur, generally as a result of entropy, where things reassemble themselves into some kind of order, having dissolved into chaos. So I think what's happening in the world at the moment is very much entropy, where a lack of actual efforts to prevent things falling apart means that indeed they do fall apart. And without some action being taken, if you sit and do nothing, doing nothing is of course a choice in itself. The result of this choice to do nothing is generally dissolution. Things will fall apart and end in chaos if you choose to do nothing at all. I mean, perfect examples of this would be, say, if you live in a house and you do nothing, you don't maintain it in any way, eventually, given enough time, the house will fall down, and eventually the remains of the house will fall into such a state of ruin that they will just disappear altogether and be taken over by nature. A similar process actually happens with human beings. Once we reach about 25, our regenerative processes stop. The brain stops growing, the body starts to stop replenishing itself in the same quality, the same level of sort of genetic perfection, if you like, that happens when you're a child most of the time. So as your body replicates itself every 7 years or so, you start to decay, which is what we generally refer to as aging. This process, just the same with a house. If you maintain your house and don't, let it fall to bits, then the roof will stay good, the windows, all the paintwork, the blockwork, etc., woodwork, will actually last a really long time if you look after it. And the same applies to human beings. It's all about sort of effort, really. The results, the slowing down of entropy is commensurate to the amount of effort you put into preventing it from happening. So just the same as if you do a lot of work on your house, it might last 50 years or 100 years longer than if you do nothing. The same's true of everything in life, including human life. People that do no exercise at all, that don't ever go and get a health check, don't do anything to look after their health, they will usually die a lot sooner than people who take care of their health. I'm very much a believer in this principle of entropy, that all things being equal, if you do nothing at all, then everything about you will start to disintegrate and deteriorate. And I'd say on a sort of esoteric angle of looking at this, you could regard the entropy principle as a negative force, as a force of destruction and chaos in the world. And you can extrapolate that into ideas about evil, ideas about Satan, demonic forces, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the world is inclined towards decay if nothing is done. At the same time, you have this force of negentropy, which is the force of growth, the force of creation, if you like, that brings about order. All things that live, at least, have a desire towards this, towards growth, towards order. But there's this very strong force that's opposing that, which is why things get old, why things deteriorate, why living creatures die. Because these two forces they may start out with not in balance, with the force of growth and creation being stronger, but over time that tends to weaken, and the force of entropy becomes more powerful, leading to a decline. So you get these cycles. You get cycles in the life of plants, animals, humans. You know, something like a butterfly, you know, that's got a very short life cycle. It would be born and grow and die in a matter of days or weeks, quite often. And then you've got huge cycles, such as civilizations and empires that last for, possibly a couple of thousand years. And then you have much larger cycles, like the cycles of glaciation and interglacials. So during an interglacial period, much of the Earth, we're in one right now, obviously, is well populated with plants, humans, animals of all kinds, a tremendous growth. And then as the interglacial ends and you enter into another glaciation, that force of growth is replaced by the entropy, very much due to the cooling of the planet, which is inevitable. That we've been in quite a long period of an interglacial, approximately, I think, 14,000 years. And the average time is sort of around what we're at now. So it could be anything from 10 to 20,000 years, possibly, although the average is much lower than 20,000 years. More towards the 10,000 years being, more typical than 20. So we're due to enter another one of these periods where there will be a massive contraction in life outside of the tropics. This might happen in, that could take 10 to 20 years for that change to actually happen, or it could take a couple of hundred years. It's completely impossible to predict these things, as far as I know. I think it's only in its infancy, the study of interglacials and glacial periods. So we don't really know what factors affect this, apart from obviously the cycles of the sun itself. But this is something that, as I said, is still in its infancy in terms of human understanding of how it works. But in our own time now, what I'm talking about, we seem to be in a period of entropy where things are falling apart, where there's a lack of decisiveness, a lack of action, a lack of positive effort to actually make things better, to prevent chaos, to prevent society and all the fabric and infrastructure of society from falling to pieces. So the cost of failing to deal with this problem is, of course, chaos, disorder, desperation, unhappiness, depression, all kinds of negative feelings and outcomes. Because, as I believe, if you do nothing about problems, they will not just go away by themselves. They generally get worse, or they lead to additional, sometimes even worse problems. So it's quite a simple principle, really, entropy. It's overcome through effort, as much as it can be. The lifetime or the duration or durability of many things can be improved vastly by applying a little bit of effort in the right areas. And that's very much what society needs at the moment, is sensible people to apply their effort in the right areas to prevent disasters from happening. A lot of this is just common sense, in my opinion, but for many people, certainly in the political sphere, I think it's incredibly difficult for them to work out what actually is necessary to be done if people actually decide to do anything at all. Quite often in politics, doing nothing seems to be regarded as the best answer to solving problems, not something that I agree with. So anyway, that's all I have to say on this subject. Hope you found it interesting, and if you did, please give it a like, leave a comment if you wish, and if you're not a subscriber, I'd be grateful if you choose to subscribe. Thanks for watching. That's it for now. Bye-bye.